Hey everybody, this is Eric with supertechnicalseo.com, and today we're going to talk about indexation. How can you tell if a page on your website is indexable by Google and other search engines? How can you block a page from being indexed if you don't want search engines to be able to find it? How can you unblock a page if you accidentally have a page that you want to be found blocked? We're going to go through all that in this video and more. So to start, we have a site that I pulled up here at random. It's luxsalonspa.net. And so what I did was a search for Raleigh hairdresser, and this is one of the first ones that popped up. So the first thing that I did was I went to the Robots.txt file, and the first thing that I see here at the top, I'm going to make this a little bit bigger, is that this is a Squarespace site. So this is something that you see in all Squarespace sites. The Robots.txt file, just to give you a little explanation of what it is, whenever a robot like Google's Googlebot goes to a website, the first file that they always look for is this one, /robots.txt, and this should be on every single page. And the purpose of this file, number one, is to tell Google what pages do I want you to crawl and to index, and what pages do I not want you to index. And then the other thing that the robots file will do is link you to the sitemap, which will show you all the pages that are on the site, or at least they should if your sitemap is correct. Sometimes they're not. So the first thing that you'll notice here in this robots.txt file is that we've got these user agents here. So this is for the AdsBot Google. This is AdsBot Google Mobile. This is AdsBot Google Mobile Apps. And then finally, this last one right here with the asterisk, this means every crawler. And so another thing you'll notice is that these are all the same. Config to this reverse paginate. Config to reverse paginate. These four different types of user agents that are in this robots.txt file are all the same. So we want to look at this user agent here, and we want to be able to find out, number one, if a certain page is indexable, right? So what we'll do here is copy this URL, which is /config, and put it up here. And we want to be able to know if this page is indexable or not, right? Because maybe on your site you have a certain page that you want to check if it's indexable. The first thing that I would do is go to the robots.txt and look in there and just look at the disallow rules. So you'll see disallow like this, and then a path which comes after the .com or the .net or the .org. And anything that is disallowed is going to be blocked. And if it has something like this at the end of it, this asterisk, it means that that page itself and every child page of it is not indexable. So the first thing that you can do if you want to test something, if you don't have access to the site in Search Console, is go here. This is tools.seobook.com /robots/txt/analyzer. And so what this page is basically going to do is look at the robots.txt file, and then you're going to put in a URL, and it's going to spit out and tell you if that URL is indexable or not. So first thing they're asking is, what is the URL of the robots.txt file? Well, here it is. So we're going to copy that and head here and paste it in, and then we're going to click the next button. And then it says enter the URLs to test against this robots.txt file. So that's going to be /config, and we're pretty certain, right, that this is going to tell us that it's not indexable. So let's put it in here and see what it spits out for us. So the results for luxsalonspa.net /config, it says that multiple robot rules were found, and we know that because we just talked about all the different user agents, right? So Google user agent number one, disallowed, 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 and then finally the one for all robots, the one with the asterisk that we looked at, it says robots is disallowed. Alright, so we know that this page is disallowed, right? But let's see what happens if we put in a page that is allowed. So the home page of the site, the one that we were looking at the beginning here, we should expect this page to be allowed, right? So let's click next, and boom, robots allowed, all robots. So this is an awesome tool right here, tools.seobook.com /robots/txt/analyzer. This is excellent for being able to find out if a page on a site is indexable or not. And another cool thing about this is that you can put in multiple URLs in here inside this box to be able to test them all out all at once. I'm not sure what the limit is on this, but it's pretty cool, so you don't have to waste as much time. So that's method number one for figuring out if a page is indexable or not. Let's go to method number two. Now this method is only going to work if you have access to the site inside Search Console. So what Search Console is a free tool that's provided by Google that allows a webmaster of a specific site to be able to get information from Google and for you to be able to have certain amounts of control over the SERP. So one tool that they have here, and I'm using the old Search Console by the way, underneath this crawl section on the left here is this thing called the Robots.txt texter. And so I have pulled up supertechnicalseo.com in here, and this is a copy of my Robots.txt file as it exists right now. So you can see that I have 3 pages in here that I don't want the robots to be able to test. So this is my thank you page for when people fill out contact forms, my login page, and then this is my thank you page for signing up for the newsletter. And then I also link to my sitemap, like we mentioned before. So one thing I can do down here is put in anything that I want, and I can test to see if it's allowed or not. So let's test the home page. Click this test button, and it tells me that this is allowed. So let's put in something that's not allowed, right? Like this thank you page. I'm going to get rid of that / because there's one right here, as you can see. Now let's test this one. And boom! It tells me that this is blocked, and it puts a big red bar through here and tells me why I can't get to it, because I blocked it right here. So this is another super cool way to be able to tell if a page is allowed or not allowed. But this only works if you have access to the page or the website inside Search Console. So this one right here, tools.seobook.com, is for if you don't have access. This one is for if you do. But we're going to talk about another way besides the robots.txt file that you can block a page. And this is a very archaic way of doing it, right? So what we're going to talk about now is what's called meta robots tags. So I'm going to do a Google search here and do meta robots tags. Back in the day, and this was probably like the 90s through, I mean, you could do it today. There was a thing that was called a robots meta tag. And what it looked like is this. You would have this inside a page, and it would do the same thing that robots.txt would do, is it would block a page and it would tell Google, don't index this. So here's what it looks like if you want Google to follow the page, and here's what it looks like if you don't want Google to follow the page. So in general, I would definitely advise you not to be using these robots meta tags, but they're still out there. And if you're only checking the robots.txt file, you might be not aware of all the pages out there that might be indexed or unindexed, right? Because one of these things could overwrite the other thing. So let's find another way that we can check for these meta robot tags. So we have this one here, this website, which is called seoreviewtools.com /bulk meta robots checker. Okay? And I'm just going to open this page. This is a page on my website that I have decided to block via the robots meta tag for testing for this video. And so if we open up the source code here of this web page, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to search for robots. You can see here we've got meta robots content no index follow. And so let's go now into our tool here and see if we put this in here and then check this I'm not a robots option here. If we perform the check, if the page is blocked or not blocked. So it's loading, it's checking for us. And now it's done. And you can see that the meta robots tag was found, and it tells us what it says, no index and follow. But you can see down here there's a big X that says that this page won't be shown in the search results. Pretty cool. So let's do another test here, and let's put in the home page, which doesn't have a meta robots tag in there. And let's check it. I'm not a robot. And let's make sure that this looks good. And again, this is you can put 10 different URLs in here at once inside this tool, so you don't have to just do one at a time like I'm doing. So that's pretty cool. And you can see down here, this one gives us a check. It says there are no restrictions for indexing or serving detected. So we've talked about the robots.txt file, which looks like this and has different disallow rules. We've talked about the meta robots tag inside the source code that could also be used. And so let's talk about one more way that you might be able to block a page. And this only works if you have a WordPress site. So let's say you're in the back of WordPress, right? And almost everybody's WordPress backend looks like this. This is the backend of my own website. We're going to go over here to settings, and then we're going to click on reading underneath settings. And see this little button down here that says discourage search engines from indexing this site? If I check this box and then click save changes, this will do the same thing as the robots.txt file and the robots meta tags. It will prevent Google and other search engines from being able to see my entire website. And so that's another thing that you should be careful about. is this button right here underneath settings and reading, the discourage search engines from indexing the site. If you use a WordPress site, you need to check this setting to make sure that your site is indexable. Now, I keep this button checked on whenever my site is first being built or whenever I'm making a testing site or a testing environment. If you don't want Google to be able to find your website, this is the perfect thing to do. But if you do, make sure that this button is not checked and you save the changes. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is my favorite way to check if a page is either blocked or indexable via robots.txt or via a robots meta tag, and that is via a piece of software called Screaming Frog. So you can just do a Google search for Screaming Frog download, and you should be able to download a free version of it that'll give you the access to scan about 500 pages per site. If you have a website with more than 500 pages, you might have to pay some money for it. But let's go ahead, because my site's pretty small, and let's run it. So we enter the URL on the top here and then click the Start button. And so you'll see it spits out here all the files that are on the site here. And the first thing I want you to notice here is this status code right here. Status code and status. And so you'll notice here that there are 2 pages right now that are blocked, and that's thank you and thank you newsletter. And so you may remember that if we go to my website, which is supertechnicalseo.com/robots.txt, here is thank you, that is disallowed, and here's thank you newsletter. So that makes sense, right? That these are blocked. However, if we scroll over further, you'll notice eventually we'll have a tag here that's called, a column that's called Meta Robots. And so here's a page right here that has a Meta Robots tag on it, and it says that it's no indexed but follow. And so this page is a directory or an archive page here from this month. And so if I go to it, you can see that this is all the entries on my site from this month, February 2019. But this page is actually blocked, but it's not blocked via the robots method. It's blocked via the robots meta tag method. So we can go here back to this guy and smack it in. And this is SEOreviewtools.com/bulk meta robots checker, and perform a check. It's loading. And again, it gives us this X here that says this page is not going to be shown in search results. So let's go back over here. Here's another one. This is /author/Eric. So Screaming Frog has told me that there are 2 pages on my site that have robots meta tags and 2 pages that are blocked via robots. So that's 4 pages in total on my site that are blocked with 2 different methods. And so this tool is really excellent for quickly being able to identify those 2 different methods and which pages on the site are blocked. And all the other ones you can see here are okay. Okay just means that everything is good to go. Everything can be found via search engines. So that is my favorite method for checking things. But if you don't have access to Screaming Frog, you can definitely use this one right here and this one right here to check the 2 different methods. Now, let's talk for another second about, let's say you had a page that's blocked, right? You do this test right here in the robots.txt file, and you want the page that is blocked to not be blocked, right? Well, I'll show you a couple ways that you can do that. So I'm going to pretend that our site is in WordPress, and I'm going to go under my Yoast SEO tool here, and I'm going to click on the Tools option. There we go. And you'll see this option here called File Editor. This lets me edit my robots.txt file. So I'm going to do a page in here for fun, and we're going to block it. So I'm going to click Visit My Site, and let's pick a page for us to block. So let's do my privacy policy page, right? That's not super important. I'm going to copy this. Boink, privacy policy. Save changes to robots.txt. So now my privacy policy page is blocked. And so I can test that by copying this, going here to my tools.seobook.robots thing. This is the link that we looked at before. So we're going to take my website URL, which I'm going to copy the whole thing. I'm going to go here, and I'm going to enter the URL of my robots file, which is /robots.txt. I'm going to delete all this stuff, click Next. Next, I'm going to take my privacy policy page, and we're just testing it again to make sure it worked. And as you can see, robots disallowed all robots. And so let's say that this was an important page of our site and we found out via this tool that our page is blocked and we want to get it unblocked. All you have to do is, if you're using Yoast SEO, open up your tools and then File Editor and go in this robots file here and simply delete that line and then save changes to robots.txt. And if you don't have WordPress and you're not using this Yoast plugin, another thing you can do is get an FTP editor, something like FileZilla, and you can log into the folder, go to public HTML, and in this first file right here is going to be your robots.txt file. So that's in public HTML, and that's going to be there for every site unless you haven't created it. So if you haven't created it, you can set it up and make it look exactly like this, and that's how it should look with this pointing to your sitemap. So this right here is how you can make a new robots.txt file if your site doesn't have one. You should already have one if a page is blocked, right? Unless it's being blocked via the robots meta tags, but we'll get there in a minute. So what you can do is go in here in your FTP, download this, and then edit it and upload it, and that's if you don't have this. So you can edit it in something like Notepad, for example, and then upload it back into here and overwrite it, and that will fix the problem. Another thing that you can do is, if you're using this Yoast SEO tool, is click on Search Appearance here and go to, let's say, taxonomies or content types, and you can see here it says Show Posts in Search Results. If any of these are set to no, the same thing is going to happen. It's going to be blocked either via a robots meta tag or a robots.txt line, but it's going to be controlled here via the Yoast SEO plugin. So you can just simply switch this to yes for any page that you want to be indexed that isn't, if you're using this to block things. So this is just another method that you can use to block things, right? Another one is, let's say it's hard-coded. So let's say you have an HTML website, right? And you have something that looks like this. You could open up your HTML file or your PHP file and find the line for the robots.meta tag in your notepad and simply just delete the line and then re-upload it to your FTP client. So that's a couple different ways that you can get rid of something that's being blocked. We've talked a lot today about robots.txt files, and so here's a really good link if you want to learn more about them. It's tools.seobook.com/robots/txt. This will tell you a whole bunch more about robots files than even I went into. And the final thing that I'm just going to go over is, let's say that you had a page, right, that was blocked and you just opened it up and you want to get that page indexed in Google as quick as you can. What you can do is go back into Search Console and use the old Search Console. And there's an option here underneath Crawl on the left called Fetch as Google. And you can see here I've done some fetching already down here. But let's say you wanted to fetch the home page, right? You could go, just leave it blank like this, but let's say you wanted it to be the privacy policy page, right? So you can put it in like that. And I'm going to copy it. And we can fetch and render. And I also like to do both versions here, the smartphone fetch and render and the desktop fetch and render. So notice this little drop down here. Make sure you do both of them. And if you can only do one of them, make sure you do desktop because Google indexes mobile first now. And then you'll notice when it's done, you'll have this button here for request indexing. So just simply click I'm not a robot, and then click either of these two options. Crawl only this URL will only index this one URL and force Google to crawl it and index it as soon as possible, usually within an hour or sometimes a little bit later than that, but usually within the same day. And if you have multiple pages that you want it to crawl, for example, you could do the home page and it will get all the pages that it can find within that. It'll crawl multiple links from it. You can click this one here and then just click go and it's going to crawl it for you. So I'm going to X out of this because I've done a whole bunch today, and you have a limit of how many of these fetches as Google you can do per day, and I think I've reached my limit today already, which is why I'm not going to press the go button. But for you guys, you can absolutely go ahead and do that, request indexing for all the pages that you want to grab here. So that's how you can grab new pages. And another thing that you could do is, let's say that you had a page, right, that was indexed in Google and you had told the robots.txt file to block it. Let's say you deleted a page from your website, right, and you don't want it there anymore. There's the exact opposite thing of fetch as Google here, and that's going to be here under this option called Google Index. You can go here under Remove URLs and then click on this button that says Temporarily Hide and just paste in the URL that you want to hide. So in my case, it might be this URL. Paste it, press Continue, and then all you have to do is click this button here that says Submit Request, and this will remove that page temporarily for about 90 days from the search results. And when you actually block it in Robots, what's going to happen is it's not going to come back after that 90 days. However, if you don't remove it from robots.txt and then you do this thing here to remove URLs, and it's still, Google can still find it, it will appear in the search engine results again after 90 days. So that's why they say you want to temporarily hide these from search. So anyway, that should be everything that you need to know about the wonderful world of indexation. I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions at all, email me, eric@supertechnicalseo.com, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much.